What up, world? It's your boy Chuck Wick Ill, aka Charles Brown, back again with another Talking Facts. But first, I want to ask you, are you good? Good. All right, man. Your boy Zack Snyder done redid, done thought out, done reorchestrated, done reshot, rescripted out Justice League, right? Justice League. Your boy Superman, your boy Aquaman, your girl Wonder Woman, your boy The Flash, and your boy Cyborg. Made the movie, took it from about 2 hours to about 4 hours. We've been hearing about this Zack Snyder cut probably since before the very first Justice League actually dropped. They was talking about Zack Snyder cut would have been whatever and da 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 da. So if you're a real fan of DC and Marvel like me, so I was reading comic books before we even get into the movie. I've been reading comics since the late 70s, I want to say. All through the 80s, all through the 90s. I was reading comic books when they was 45, 50 cents for a comic book. I know some of y'all head probably explode, because what do they cost like now, right? Like 10, 15, 20 bucks for a comic book right now. I ain't talking about a graphic novel. I'm just talking about a regular old comic book, like $10. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's insane, like what they're charging for these books right now. But I guess, you gotta pay the bills. But I grew up in what I like to consider the golden age of comics, where Spidey was still figuring out who he was, the eternal teenager. They had about 4 Spider-Man comics when I was coming up. They had Amazing Spider-Man, the Spectacular Spider-Man. I think they had something about Peter Parker, something. And it just like, this was back in the day when they would have, one character would have 2 or 3 books, or you would have 2 or 3 books for the same group. And everyone was agreeing, not everyone, but we used to get in arguments of which was better, Marvel or DC. It was always Marvel, but you had that one kid or those 2 loyalists to DC, and would sit there and want to fight you over DC is better than Marvel. And in a way, so this is what it is. It depends on what you was looking for. And the same thing goes for these movies, right? It depends on what you're looking for in these comics. When you're looking for, I'm not going to say DC was more witty and cerebral, right? Because Marvel is very witty and very cerebral. But the thing with DC was you had to be willing to let a story develop. You had to be willing to move slower with the character, just the building of the characters. And you had to be willing to be a little more super righteous and more like, the DC characters were very straight by the book. They were, I'm super and I fight for justice and that's it and that's all. Like, and it got boring to some people. It got kind of like, some people looked at that as it had no edge, and it wasn't relatable. Because as you get older, you realize you could never live up to Superman as far as his morals and ideals. Yeah, you want your superhero to feel that way, that he has ideals and everything that he stands for is good and righteous and just, and it's always amoral. It's always moral, and so it's like you want that. But after a while, how many years can you deal with a character that's like almost Jesus-like? Especially when they introduce a Wolverine or a Daredevil or a Moon Knight, or even Spidey, who has all these contradictions and just like all of these growing pains. So the Justice League is going to always suffer when you have a Deadpool out there. You know what I'm saying? So it's like Justice League. The thing with the DCU and the MCU, and it's really nothing I really could argue about, but I used to try to defend DC to a degree, where I would say, first of all, it's two different. What they're trying to achieve is 2 different things. Marvel is bam, pow, punch, kick. You know what I'm saying? Just like it's all structure, it's all bam. All and I mean that's oversimplifying it, but I'm not going to say it's flash no substance. I'm not going to say that. But Marvel put the battery in the back of beautifully drawn comics when I believe like when X-Men and it was and this is blasphemy. I wasn't a big Jack Kirby. I like Jack Kirby stuff, but when my guy came after Jack Kirby, the guy who was doing X-Men, that team that got together, and I'm drawing a blank because I really wasn't going to do this video. It'll come to me at some point. But it was a team of a writer and artist who started doing the X-Men around the time where Jean Grey was about to become Phoenix and Storm cut her hair and she went to Africa and Wolverine went full on Japanese assassin. Like around that time, it's coming to me. But went full on global. It was just like when a lot of superheroes were still fighting in their city, like Power Man and Iron Fist. Wolverine is in full on in Japan somewhere. Storm is Africa. So it's just like it's this massive 3, 4, 5-dimensional thing, and Marvel did tap into that. So I'm not going to say that, but it was drawn it was cosmic. It was drawn like when Professor X fell in love with the alien, the woman that was an alien. It just was a whole. It became beautiful. It became artwork, and it really changed the game of comics. Because before that, comics were very 2-dimensional, very stick figure. Comics were always great, but I feel like when the X-Men and this team of writers and artists, even the colors, everything, it just became so beautiful. It was hard to compete. So then DC had to figure out how to compete with these guys. But DC was more substance, more, in my opinion, it felt like they were more grown up. It was more adult, in my opinion. And it seemed that when you picked up a DC comic, you had to be in it for the long haul. Whereas Marvel was instant gratification, even with the movies. Look at the movies. Avengers, instant gratification. It took Marvel a while to get it, don't get me wrong, because Incredible Hulk and all that stuff that they tried to do before was terrible. Marvel did not get it right until Blade, and we don't consider Blade into the Marvel universe. Blade changed everything. They really say Blade saved Marvel, the MCU, but he doesn't get the credit that he deserves. But Blade saved the Marvel universe, right? What we got right now with Spidey and all that came from Blade being successful. Then Blade begot Iron Man, and Iron Man begot Spidey, and here we are. So, even with Iron Man, who most people consider the first really well done superhero movie, because Blade is not a superhero, he's more of an anti-hero, but Iron Man first really well done. But it was bam, boom, it was quick, it was flashy. Tony Stark was this genius, billionaire who slept with women and just did what he wanted. He broke the rules. He didn't listen to anything. You say this, he go do that because he can. It was super in your face. It was quick. It was witty. It was hilarious. It was amazing. All of that. Trying to compete with that is Ryan Reynolds in Green Lantern. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, Ryan Reynolds is quick and all that, but that's not what Green Lantern character is. So you're missing the whole thing when you're trying to put Ryan Reynolds as the Green Lantern. It does not going to work. You know what I'm saying? Plus the story was terrible and it just was a lot of not working stuff. So here we go. We get Iron Man. We go on this road with Avengers, all this stuff. DC got to compete with this. I don't even remember what DC's first attempt. Was it Superman? Was it Superman Returns? Was that DC's first real attempt? Because I know they tried stuff, but their first real attempt, I think, was Superman Returns, I think. With the new kid. It's not this guy. He wasn't Superman. It was another guy. So I think Superman Returns was the first attempt at DC. And some people liked it. I thought it was okay, but you quickly realized that Superman was stale. Superman was stale. And you quickly realized that his character was 2-dimensional. The only time you really feared for Superman's life is when he would lose his powers. And they're famous for that. It's like the only thing you can do to make Superman relatable is take away his powers. Then you're like, oh my God, what is he going to do? He's out here powerless. This guy, the truck stop, is bullying him and making him, get on the ground. Just all this crazy. Then you're afraid for. Other than that, when are you really afraid that Superman's not going to make it? They had to literally kill Superman. They had to kill Superman. They had to kill him for you to really be worried about Superman. Because he's not going to do anything bad. He's not going to kill anyone besides Zod or somebody. And he's never going to do the wrong thing. Never. With Wolverine, you never knew what he was going to do. And Daredevil, literally, that's all he does is the wrong thing. I mean, not Daredevil, Deadpool. So it's like, all of these guys have different agendas, right? But Superman is the most stale one. Then you got Wonder Woman. What is her? She's the female Superman. Most of these DC characters have no edge, no freaking like underlying story arc that's going to make them relatable to the average person. So it's a stale concept to begin with, right? You have to really shake things up. And then when DC got their niche was Dark Knight. They didn't call it Batman. It wasn't like Batman. No. This is Dark Knight. You got Christian Bale, one of the most insane actors you've ever seen, to be the most intense character you would ever want. All three movies. Fantastic works of sheer art. Comparable to anything that Marvel has done. But DC couldn't keep that up because they didn't have, they didn't have Christian Bale. They didn't have the director of those movies, and they just didn't have the actual brooding consistency of this Dark Knight thing. So where we go right back to Aquaman. We go right back to Superman. We go right back to Ben Affleck is Batman, and Ben Affleck does a great job per se with what he's given, because Batman is a very they try to make him tougher and darker, but it's like Batman being tough and dark for just the sake of being tough and dark is no substance at all. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, we felt that Christian Bale had a reason to be like that. You can feel that there was an underlying thing that made him like that. Ben Affleck's Batman, although it's surprisingly good, you don't feel that there's this underlying clenched jaw, almost serial killer anger underneath him. It just feels like he's just being angry for the sake of being angry. Christian Bale, you felt like this guy might kill somebody. You know what I'm saying? And it's hard to have an edge when you don't feel that this guy is not just an actor in a suit. So, long story short, DC has been trying to figure out how to make these movies without being too dark. Because then when they went too dark, you remember what people said? Oh, they're trying to be too dark. They remember that? It was like, oh, they're trying. Then when they try to go too goofy, oh, they're trying too hard to be the Avengers. They're trying to be Thor. Like, they could never win, right? I say all that to say this. Suicide Squad, to me, was a horrible movie, in my opinion. I'm not one of these bandwagon people. I can watch something and not go on and say it was trash just because everyone is saying it's trash. But I watched Suicide, and when Suicide went down, it went down fast. It started off good. You're like, this is starting off, and then it just went really quickly stupid, and it just was bad. So Suicide Squad, Aquaman was trash, right? It's just a lot of stuff. Batman vs Superman, I think it's too harshly. It was already fighting from the bottom, so it already had everything against it. I don't think Batman vs Superman is that bad as people try to make it, right? But it had everything against it from the jump. So now you got all these movies clawing their way up. You bring out this long-awaited Justice League, which they did do it wrong because they should have fleshed out like Marvel did, fleshed out each character before they threw them all on the screen at you. That's what Suicide Squad went wrong. They threw it all on the screen at you, and it just was too fast, too much. People getting killed in the first 20 minutes. Like, it just was too much. So what happened with Justice League, it was rushed out. They made a lot of money off of it. They made a lot of money off all of them. That's why you got another Suicide Squad coming out. You got another Batman come. So it's like they make money. So they're making their money. Wonder Woman made big money. They did not recapture what they needed, what they were trying to accomplish until Wonder Woman. A quality movie that 80% of the people said was fantastic. Wonder Woman had its flaws, but it was a great movie. I liked the first Wonder Woman. This second garbage, I don't know what they were trying to do. But Wonder Woman restored DC's feeling, and then they went back and all the goodwill they got from Wonder Woman, squandered it on Aquaman, squandered it, just bad decisions. So here we are. I talked for 15 minutes just to get to Zack Snyder's cut. Now, I don't know everything that went on with what he did behind the scenes or what he didn't do, and that he's, I don't know, racist, sex. I don't know what Twitter has deemed this guy. I don't know what he did. I don't remember because it was probably 2-3 years ago, whatever he did. And I know the cast of the movie came out in his defense, all of them, was like, yo, whatever. Zach, whatever. Long story short, they dropped the Justice League. To no one's surprise, it got panned, right? Because that's what happens with most Disney movies. Most DCU movies. It got panned. And all you kept hearing about is if Zack would have been able to finish his movie, it would have been awesome. So I kept hearing rumblings about Zack's going to get a chance to do this movie. They're going to make a movie. It didn't even sound believable that they would bring out a movie again. Just would slap this guy's name on and put a couple scenes in it. But that's exactly what they did. But apparently they didn't just do that. They reshot a big portion of it. He rearranged the whole thing. Got a bunch of the actors that was in it. Added some more stuff. You know what I'm saying? Martian Manhunter and all this stuff is in it. A lot of stuff that went on in the first one was expounded. He was able to expound upon. You give anybody 4 hours, they should be able to build a story, right? So he was able to expound upon characters. He made this thing magnificent. Let me just say, I've been talking for damn near 18 minutes, but engaging from the very first scene, right? And we still have to look forward to where this futuristic Batman and Superman thing is, where Superman, they have explained why Superman went nuts. Not nuts, but he went Superman. He went, and now he's a bully, which is what would happen if you had all the powers he has and you decided you didn't care no more. Now he's apparently bullied, so they still haven't explained why. Apparently it's over Lois. Somehow, some way, Lois dies. We don't know how, right? But she dies, which is going to kirk him out and make him bug out, rightfully so. And he takes over the Earth or whatever he does. At the end, you see Batman and Joker talking as if they're about to go in and try to either stop and or kill Superman for whatever reason, right? Other than that, most stuff is explained much more in depth. The Amazonians, they are much more fleshed out in a way. They have a much bigger role, in my opinion, in the movie this time, and they don't seem like it's just thrown in. It seems like when they split these three boxes up and these three different factions get it. You get the people from the Amazonians or whatever you want to call them. Then you get regular humans, right? And then you get the people from Atlantis. The Atlanteans get it. Each one gets a box. Now, yeah, everything, everything is not going to be a perfect, bubble. Some stuff doesn't add up or whatever. But at the end of the day, if you can suspend a little bit of your belief and follow the story's there to follow, right? Darkseid and what's this other guy? I can't remember his name right now. But these guys are much more flushed out, right? Superman comes back, and rightfully so. He's extremely Superman. It's not even it's not even close. Like with Batman versus Superman, it shouldn't even be that long of a movie. As once Superman decides, I'm done with this guy. It's over. What we talking about? You know what I'm saying? Batman ain't beating Superman. We need Batman out there because somebody got to try to check him. But at the end of the day, Batman not beating Superman. Let's stop with this nonsense. All right? So, we get full on Superman in a rage. They didn't really do I think they reshot the whole thing because he didn't look weird like the last time. And we have basically the entire story of Cyborg much more flushed out. They really did a great job of flushing out the Flash this time because it made you understand the kid that you're dealing with now. You understand? And it didn't just, Batman doesn't just magically pop up in these people's houses. He had to track them down. It was a process. It wasn't just, I'm Batman, I just know where you are at all times. It was, he had to figure out these people, had to try to convince them to be a part of this team. It wasn't just this happy-go-lucky, slapped-together band. It was a reluctant band of necessity. And we got to see how it was formed. You know what I'm saying? And we got to see how much Lois really cared for Superman. This lady was bent, like distraught. She was done, bro. Like, she went to his gravesite every single day. Right? Every day. Wasn't going back to work. So now we get to see how this really destroyed this woman. And how deep their bond was. And she's the only one that stopped them from killing everybody. She just walked up like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Clark, let's just get out of here. Let's just go. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you got to see that relationship. You got to see Wonder Woman as apparently she's coming out of her stint from 1984, where she kind of, according to them, kind of went into a down period where she just shut down and then decided to, okay, I'm going to get back into the world. We got to see all of that. We got to see a lot of different things play out. It was a much stronger story. A lot of slow motion. And a lot of slow motion, I'll give you that. But slow motion makes it the suspense. And this new Flash scene, my God, this new Flash scene, comparable to the X-Men Flash scene, the great X-Men Flash scene. This scene with this kid, more than once in this movie, is this kid. This kid is freaking amazing, right? So this new Flash scene, this whole thing with the massive battles between this thing is insane. Right? I say that this guy has restored my faith in the DCU. I now believe that the DCU may be formidable. They may be formidable. They may be a formidable foe or rival to Marvel. It remains to be seen what they do with it, because I know Vin Diesel messed up Bloodshot, but it is what it is. So, and then you got The Rock coming with Black Adam. So let's see what happens. But for the most part, with this Zack Snyder cut, and again, Zack Snyder, he's not going to be doing every freaking movie, so whatever. But for the most part, we're going to see DC have a chance. I think we're going to give them a chance. I think everyone's going to give this new Suicide movie a chance. The Suicide Squad. I wouldn't even have watched it. I promise you, if it was not for this Justice League movie, I would not have even put on, especially after Harley Quinn, right? If anybody sat through Harley Quinn, I wish I could give you your money and your time back. Because I sat through Harley Quinn one night and had the nerve to give that thing a rating like it was going to be bad. It was not. My 3-year-old could have watched, my 8-year-old niece and her 6-year-old, like all of them could have watched it with me. There was nothing in that movie but dumb stuff. So, long story short, I think DCU, with this release of this Justice League, has a fighting chance. And I'm going to say Zack Snyder restored the feeling of Justice League. he makes me believe that even Superman can be watchable again. Even Superman. Looking very forward to Flash. Looking very forward to see where this thing goes. The stare between Superman and Darkseid at the end, like, come on, bro. Like, it's like, yeah, you here, but I'm here too. And when you come back, I'm gonna be here waiting for you. Sucker ass, I'll be right here. Superman is on some like, yo, I'm here, I'm back. We out here. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm talking about. I like where it's just like, this is hard. And that's why we liked Wolverine and we liked the X-Men, because it was like, yo, we not this soft, like, you know, like we out here. And with that being said, I'm out of here. Zack Snyder did a hell of a job. Tip the hat to your boy Zack. We waited for this thing for about 3 years, and it was well worth the wait. Maybe one day I'll do a video about how Warner Brothers made a huge mistake by putting everything on HBO Max, but that's another video for another day. My name is Chuck Wickio. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button. I'm going to catch y'all on the flip side. Peace.